I'm Marge McDonald, Director of the Burlington Council on Aging, and today we are going to be talking about scams, and I have with me Lieutenant Glen Mills. He is a lieutenant with the Burlington Police Department. He began his career as a part-time officer in 1992 and became a full-time officer in 1996. He was promoted to sergeant in 2001 and lieutenant in 2007. He is currently assigned to the Administrative Division and oversees community services, training, emergency management, information technology, and dispatch. Glenn is the department's Criminal Intelligence Liaison Officer with the Massachusetts State Police Fusion Center, officer in charge of the Crime Analysis Unit, and is department's Criminal Justice Information System representative. He is involved in a number of community outreach and crime prevention efforts, including teaching RAD, which is Rape Aggression Defense, RAD Kids, and RAD for Seniors self-defense programs to the community. Glenn manages his department's social media, website, Citizens Police Academy, workplace safety, and crime prevention efforts. Glenn is also the current president of the Massachusetts Association of Crime Analysts, the president of Police Futurists International, and an IACA certified law enforcement analyst, and he is everything scams. So, with that, thank you for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So we've been having a lot of scams lately. It's been getting a little out of control. So let's start with the basics. What kind of scams are there out there?
Well, it's kind of a shorter show than we can really get all the scams in, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of the scams that we're seeing now, in the old days, the scams used to be sort of these in-person scams where people would come up to you and pull off these various scams in person.
Yeah, somebody once offered me a TV at Sears.
Yeah, things like that were more common. But now we're seeing everything has moved online as well as through communication devices like telephones. Every scam sort of follows a pattern where there's some sort of an emotional shock or response, and then there's some sort of an offer or an ask for money or funds, and then you, unfortunately, if you give in to that, you realize you've been scammed. So they try to catch you off guard. It's basically the formula for all of these various scams. So the types of scams we have now, the most popular ones have been the grandparent scam, where you may receive a call saying that a grandchild is in jail and needs bail money, or virtual kidnappings where they'll say someone in your family was kidnapped and you have to pay the ransom. There are 419 scams where you may be trying to sell something. You put an advertisement out to sell a car and somebody says, oh, I'll send you a check for twice what you're asking. Send me the difference. And they have some crazy story about why they need to do things this way. We also see scams where there are charity scams. And I'll wager that right now we're going to be seeing scams around the coronavirus.
Most likely, yeah.
The hot topic scams. These things come up when there's a big topic in the news, and they'll find various ways to scam people based on that. Another big scam people are getting are Microsoft service calls. They'll call your house, hey, your internet is going to go down unless you pay us. Utility scams. You can name scams. We could spend all day going through all
Just
of them,
naming them.
unfortunately.
Which is actually why when I do something in the newsletter, which is not every single month, because obviously people stop seeing it if you do it every month. But when I put something in the newsletter, I try to put the basics. Don't give out your social security number and ways to protect yourself rather than going to the individual scam. Especially because with the newsletter, by the time it gets to them, there's another scam in place.
Yeah.
It's more specific, different specific one. So can you kind of talk a little bit about what would tip me off that it's a scam? How will I know?
So it's funny, people ask me, how can I protect myself? And I'm at a point now where I don't answer my phone at home. And even the caller ID, now people will say, oh, I'm getting a call from someone I know. Unfortunately, technology allows us to do what's called spoofing, caller ID. So I could use my cell phone, my personal cell phone, and I can call anyone, and I can use certain apps to make my number appear on their screen as the Burlington Police Department or the FBI or the IRS. And I could have the information line up exactly with what is the real number. because caller ID is just easily fooled by technology. So you can't trust caller ID anymore, unfortunately. Getting any kind of call where they're asking for you to make a quick decision, that's usually a tip-off, because a legitimate business, if they call you, yeah, you'll have salespeople call you, but if there's not a regular sales call involved and they're saying, whoa, we need money now for some particular thing, some bad thing not to happen, or some important thing to happen right now, that's a tip-off. Like I said, these things have patterns, and it doesn't matter what you call the scam or what the game is. There are certain things that will tip you off. Getting unsolicited calls or emails, getting an ask for information or money, and you'll find that the scammers are very, very good at what they're doing. This is their full-time job. They're sitting around all day figuring out new ways to do this. We've seen scams in Burlington where they're calling, spoofing our number. They're using our names. They've used my name. They've used Detective Brown's name.
Wow.
They know, they do research, and they're very advanced. So at this point, really, I would say there are certain things that you just don't want to do. If you ever get that feeling like, is this a scam? Am I being scammed? I would just tell people, go ahead and call us at the police department. We're happy to answer questions and say, well, I think that's a scam. But even if you get that feeling, is this a scam? If you're starting to ask that, it probably is at this point.
It happens to all of us. I mean, I've gotten the Microsoft email, and I'm like, You know, you think for a second, or you get a phone call, and you're like, is that real?
Yeah.
Just, you know, even though I obviously am very aware of scams and what's going on, you still, every once in a while, you get that one that you're like, I'm not sure. But yeah, again, I just knock myself on the head and say, come on, you know better.
So they're asking for information, social security numbers. So the scammers have found out that people are more reluctant to give that out. Okay, so they move to the next thing. Maybe information that would be pertinent for Medicare or Medicaid, ID numbers and things for that. Then the next thing they'll move on to, they used to say, oh, give me your credit card number. Well, it turns out the credit card companies have figured out ways to pick up on that very quickly. Plus they can back charge the money and get it back. So now they no longer ask for that. So they'll say, oh, we need money, but they're going to use a untraditional way of collecting that money from you. So a legitimate business will normally take checks, credit cards, and forms of payment like that. But scammers are going to require you to go out and do something, and for a lot of people they're totally unfamiliar with, like buying Bitcoin. Like the IRS doesn't collect money in Bitcoin. The Burlington Police don't want Bitcoin.
Right.
Or they may say, go down and buy Google gift cards, Apple Play cards, Green Dot Money cards. They'll use these various money transfer cards because they're harder for the police to track and trace, and it's harder to catch people when they get these. And it's easy to get the information from you. So I would say anything that asks you to go to CVS and buy gift cards, that's a scam. I guarantee you that is a scam.
Okay.
Never do that. And I would put a sign up in the entrance of every place that sells any kind of gift card saying, look, these scams are very, very common. Never send these to anybody else.
Okay. Actually, I think my social workers had gone down to CVS, and they had put, this was a while ago, and they put signs, you're still not quite together. They put signs on their gift cards asking a question about it and whether or not, I think it was like, you know, basically, what are you buying this card for?
Right.
Just to kind of trigger people as to whether or not they really needed to buy that card.
Yeah. And I would say anyone buying a large dollar amount of gift cards, like typically you'll buy gift cards, even at Christmas time. If you just say, hey, I'm only buying gift cards for people, typical Christmas, maybe you'll get up to $1,000 if you're buying for everyone. But when you start seeing several $1,000s of gift card purchases, there's something illegal going on. And criminals also use these as a way to transfer money to get past the banking regulations, because every time in the United States you move $10,000 or more, it'll get reported. They have these special reports that get generated by banks. So they're using these tools to transfer larger sums of money around and hopefully not get caught.
Okay. So next question is, then is how do I protect myself from the scams?
So again, just watch for those patterns. I tell people, you know, if you're getting a call that your grandson was kidnapped, or that your grandson is in jail, some people right away, they have this emotional shock.
Right.
And that's designed to get you to stop thinking and be more emotional than critically thinking. So anytime you get an piece of information like that, just stop for a second, take a deep breath, wait, and start thinking about this. Why am I getting this call? Now, I know if I was a kid, the last person I would call if I got arrested was my grandparents, right? I mean, I just probably wouldn't do that. I'd probably call my friends first or try some other way of getting bail money.
Anybody but.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, if you get arrested, you don't need money for a lawyer that second.
Right.
Right? You go to court, you get arraigned, and then you can get a lawyer. So just, you know, you just have to watch for anything that you have an emotional flash, and then when you start getting an ask for information or money. So just watch for that right away. I would say tell people, don't even answer your phone at home anymore. Screen all your calls. Get an answering machine. Listen to what they're saying before you pick up. And tell everyone you know, hey, if you call me, I screen my calls. And if I don't answer, just leave a message and I'll call you back. If somebody calls you and they claim to be the police, just say, hey, 1 second, can I just call you right back at the police department? Because luckily, we can still, we can pretend to be anyone on your caller ID, but when you call us back, you're going to get us.
Right.
If you call 781-272-1212, it's not going to go to the scammer. They haven't figured out how to hack that yet, but it's going to come to us, and then we'll be able to tell you, yes, we are calling you. Get up here. You're in trouble. Or we're going to come to your house right now. Or no, that's not us.
Right.
And most of the time, we don't call people up and threaten to arrest them. If you have a warrant or somebody wants you, we'll call up and say, hey, why don't you go down to the court and take care of that yourself? Because we don't even need to deal with it.
Right.
Or if we are going to arrest you, we're just going to show up at your house. And you'll look outside and you'll see the uniforms and police cars. And, and we're going to be nice and waving. And,
Yep.
but we're not going to do that over the phone. And we're never going to say, we want money. The police never, ever, ever, ever go to someone and collect money. That just doesn't happen. That's something that would happen at court. Yep. It's okay. I'll keep talking while you're talking. My microphone will stop falling off.
We're a mess. Okay.
Yeah.
While we're talking about uniforms and police for scams, U.S. Census is happening.
Yes.
And that is happening, I believe, starting in a month, if I remember correctly. Do they go through you before they go out and start canvassing houses?
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually, anyone who's soliciting in town, if they're selling, they have to check in with the police department. They have to get a permit. I see people on the residents' Facebook page all the time. Oh, somebody came to my door and they knocked on my door. Oh my goodness. It's okay. Call us. We can say, yes, that person is registered and they're out doing sales. That's not a problem. Census workers, they're all required now. They'll register. They'll have badges. I'm sure they will be checking in with us, saying these are the people who will be working in the area. So we'll be able to check them out pretty quickly. Anyone going door to door, you really just want to watch for any kind of behavior that's unusual. So if a census worker comes to your door and they're asking census type questions, that's normal. But if all of a sudden they start asking you for, do you have a credit card? Do you have money? Things like that, unusual questions, then I would say that would raise alarm bells. And please don't hesitate to call us. I cannot tell you how many times in my career I've had people tell me, oh yeah, I thought that looked weird, or I thought that guy was weird, and I was really suspicious, but I didn't want to bother you. Please, we're happy to take calls from people. Most of the time it turns out to be nothing, but we would prefer that people call us and ask. And we have no problem. The second the car is freed up, we send an officer down, hey, go check this guy out and make sure he's on the up and up, and we're happy to do that.
Awesome. So on the census, just so everybody knows, if you don't want someone coming to your house, fill it out, mail it in.
Yes.
or go online and fill it in online. And if you want to fill it in online so it's not going through the U.S. mail, you can come to the senior center and we'll help you do that. So there's no, you don't have to have somebody coming to your house making you uncomfortable.
Yeah,
just so everybody
absolutely.
knows. But it's also very important that we get those census filled out.
Yes.
Because that's how we get money for what we do and keep services going in town, is by the number of seniors, the numbers of kids, number of disabled, minorities, all of that. So we need to have those numbers, and we need them as accurate and as high as we can possibly get them.
Yeah, and they're very important for us as well. We use census data to look at our crime data, see how we compare, and it helps us with getting grants.
Which of course is
money.
completely unfair because we have them all, but
Yes, and that does throw everything off.
yeah. But we get the money that we get from the state is off the census, and we have to live with that for 10 years. So
Yeah.
I'm still living off the numbers from 2010. So I want everybody to fill it out. All right, so here's a great question. How do I keep myself from being a target in the first place? How do I just prevent all of this from happening?
So again, I think just being vigilant. I don't want people to be paranoid, but just thinking about these scams, being aware of what they are. There's so much information out there now that you can read up on these topics. You can go online and just type in the word scams, and you'll see a million articles about all the various scams that are out there. Recognizing the patterns of a scam is very important, and I would say listen to your gut feeling. This is the thing that people dismiss these bad feelings, right? This is our intuition, and I would tell people, if you get a gut feeling that something is off, stop, pause, think about it, and start asking yourself questions. Why is this person calling me now? Why would they need this information? Is this a legitimate business or a legitimate government agency? Just taking that time to slow things down and start thinking again rather than reacting to a shock. So that shocking piece of information comes in, most people, they just react. And we've had several of these in Burlington now where people run down to a store to buy gift cards, or they run to the bank to withdraw cash. Luckily, a lot of our banks have been very good about flagging these, saying, whoa, wait a second, why are you taking out so much cash right now? And why do you seem upset? And then they'll get the story, oh, my grandson was kidnapped. I hate to tell people, like, if you watch TV, people get kidnapped. In real life, incredibly rare.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you're a multi-millionaire, no one is kidnapping someone from Burlington to hold them for ransom. The only people who really get kidnapped up in the Northeast that I've ever seen were people who are already involved in criminal activity, drug dealers and people involved in other groups that they're not supposed to be involved with. So for normal people, no one's getting kidnapped for ransom. So that's a flag right there. And the other thing is, when police departments call you, no police department is ever going to call you and ask for money. The IRS is never going to call you and ask for money. Just anything that makes you get a funny feeling, just listen to your gut, stop, ask some questions. And even some people we've had, they start to have a little fun with it. They think, well, I'm talking to this person anyhow. I have nothing to do at the moment. Maybe I'll waste some of their time and keep them from scamming other people. I do this, when I'm at work. If somebody calls me at work, because they do, they'll call our police lines, and I'll pick up, and they'll say, oh, this is the IRS. I'm going to arrest you. And I go, oh, really? Oh, no. What can I do to stop this? And I'll start asking them, wait a second, I have a tax question. Form 2098. Now, if I fill that, and I'll just start asking them these ridiculous questions to see how long they'll talk to me, which is always fun. And I've actually even had the scammers. Some of them at times have even started having friendly conversation with me because they work in these massive call centers where hundreds of people are scamming people. They're overseas and they're calling phones in the United States and trying to scam people. And I've had a few of them have told me about their operations. They just start talking to me, and I go, well, how much money do you make every day? Oh, I make a couple $100s a day. I just bought a nice new car. I work at this one company. I worked at another one before. So it's become an industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and they're all coming after you. So you have to be very vigilant and really just start thinking about these things so you have a plan ahead of time. And the plan should always be, I will not send anyone money until I check it out, until I do some homework.
Right.
And I will never give anyone some valuable information like my social security
Mm-hmm.
number or my Medicare numbers or anything like that without doing some research.
Yeah. And that's what I tell them.
We have to
No.
keep telling them because, I don't know, the biggest challenge I have is actually reaching people and warning them. So I would say if it tends to be targeted more towards seniors, and
yeah.
I would say if you have a senior in your life, have these conversations on a regular basis
Mm-hmm.
with them. And maybe you'll see a news story about scams and say, hey, did you hear about this scam? Do you know that they can call you and make your caller ID say it's the Burlington Police or the state police or the IRS? And make sure people hear about this a lot because sometimes people forget. We're very busy.
Yeah.
Even seniors are really busy all day long with things
Yeah.
that they're thinking about. And the scammers, all they have to do is catch you off guard one time. And that one time is when you're going to be out for several $1,000s at times.
I would also say that maybe if you have a senior in your life, make sure they know where the grandkids are. They know where you are.
Yeah.
So that they're not all of a sudden getting this call, well, you know, Grandma, I'm in Mexico and I need, when they're up in Vermont skiing, you know.
Well, one challenge with that we found is, now this is the way, if I was a criminal, I would look through your Facebook pages and your social media,
Oh, yeah.
and I would see you posting pictures that you are in Grand Cayman having a great time. And I would do some research, and I'm able to do things with intelligence analysis and open source intelligence. And the criminals have all the same tools that I do, and they can do it just as well as I can. And I could find your parents, your grandparents, all your family members, and I could have enough information that I could pretend to be you. And even if I watch videos and see you talking, maybe I could mimic your voice a bit, and I could say, hey, the phone connection's not good, but hey, it's me, your grandson Billy, and I need some money right now, and I'm in trouble, and please help me.
Don't tell Mom and Dad.
Don't tell Mom and Dad. I'm in Cancun. I was just at the Playa de Luna hotel, and they're going to have enough information that it's going to be very believable. So always double check. We had one scammer, a woman walked into the police station. It was a virtual kidnapping. She is talking to the kidnappers, and she can hear her son. Meanwhile, the kidnappers are talking to her son, saying that they've kidnapped the mother.
Wow.
And they had both of their voices in the back, so they heard just enough of each other to make it very believable. And they're
That's
both
scary.
upset. And the kidnappers were smart enough also to say they did research. They knew where the person's house was, which is very easy to find on Google Maps. And then they could calculate, okay, go up Cambridge Street. Okay, I know where you are right now. You're passing the Cambridge and Wilmington Road. So the woman actually thought she was being tracked. She wasn't being tracked. It was just them being smart. So never underestimate how smart these people are. They can fool you. They're very, very good at this. This is what they practice all day long. They only need to catch you off guard one time. And they're making thousands of phone calls to hit one person. They'll eventually get someone, they'll catch them at the right moment, and they'll be able to get that money from you.
They're getting too good.
Yes.
It's not fair. So what do I do if I think I've been scammed?
So right away, a lot of people get very embarrassed, and they don't want to tell anyone. But I would tell you, please, right away, you can come to the police station in person or call us and report it right away. In some cases, we have been able to stop some of the money from flowing. Maybe not all of it. Sometimes we can stop the entire amount of money from being withdrawn. Sometimes we can get part of it. But the faster we start that investigation, the more likely we are to catch someone. So we actually did have one of our officers was able to track someone down. And it was the way that they had gone after the payment money that we found a license plate, we were able to track down a suspect, and we actually have an arrest.
Wow.
Down in Connecticut. So that party will be coming back to Burlington eventually, and we'll be going to court.
That must have felt really awesome.
It's really great. Anytime you can catch one of these people. So we're so frustrated because often these people are overseas. But when they're doing it within the U.S., we have a much better chance of catching them. and bringing them in. And I can say, I'm not just saying this, our officers are very good and our detectives are very good.
I agree.
So if there is a possibility of catching these people, we will. Now, if they're overseas, that's a whole different ballgame. It becomes
Right.
much more complicated. But if they're within the U.S., they're at a high risk of being caught by us. So please, report it right away. Don't be embarrassed. It happens to everyone. I've had times where I've been caught off guard by things, and I didn't listen to my gut, and I didn't stop and question what was going on, and I regretted it. So the lesson for me was, every time I get that feeling that something's off, is to listen to it. Stop, think about it for a few seconds, ask some questions, and if it continues to be suspicious, then you have to act appropriately.
Yep.
And that might be calling the police, or a lot of times just hanging up on these people. If they're calling from overseas, the best thing you can do is either hang up on them right away or have a nice conversation about ridiculous things and waste their time.
I've always told the seniors to tell, if somebody calls them, ask if they'd like to talk to their nephew, the police chief.
Yeah.
They like
yeah.
that one.
Yeah,
I
that,
don't know
that
if
can
they use
work.
it, but it.
I've told scammers, hey, I'm a police officer. They don't care. They'll still continue to try to scam us. They're not afraid. That's a good indication that they're overseas, because
Right,
they know it's going to be, even if we do track them down, it's way too costly for us. We can't go to other countries and arrest people. We have to go through a whole process, so it's very difficult. So yeah, that's the best thing you can do is start, if it's the IRS, start asking them tax questions and see
There
what
you
they
go.
answer,
Yeah.
because they don't know the answers.
Or they'll give you the wrong information.
Yeah.
That could always happen. So what is the likelihood I'll get my money back if I get scammed?
I hate to say it, it's usually very unlikely. The odds are, especially if you buy gift cards, lately they've been going after Apple gift cards, Google gift cards, any kind of money transfer cards. Once that's gone to the bad guys, it's very, very difficult to make that stop or get that money back. But like I said, the key thing would be to report it immediately. Or actually, I should say the key thing would be to make sure it never happens in the first place.
Right.
Never buy a gift card for anyone you don't know. That will
Yeah.
protect you, right?
That's true.
Just make that a rule in your life. Just tell me right now in front of the camera, swear to BCAT, I will not buy a gift card for someone I don't know.
Yeah.
And you'll never be scammed that way. They'll have to find another way. And if you don't know what Bitcoin is, don't buy it.
Yeah.
Just don't buy
I
it.
can't figure Bitcoin out. I'm not even going there.
No, nobody can.
So I think that what's the biggest takeaway?
Again, I just say this over and over and over again. If it seems like a scam, if you get suspicious, stop, pause, think, and then analyze it. And if you have a question, call us. Call us anytime. We're open 24/7.
That's true. I'm only there Monday through Friday.
Yeah, I'm only Monday through Friday now too. I work some overtime, but generally you can call the station anytime, and we get calls at the front desk all the time. As a matter of fact, just this morning, one of the officers there said, nope, that's a scam. No, that's a scam. Okay, thank you, bye. That was it. Call and ask.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. I hope this gives you all some techniques and some armor to go out and not get scammed. But again, if you do, or you think you might have, please call the police department. You can always follow up with us later if you need someone just to help you through the processes. And I guess that's it. Thanks for joining us for my next chapter.